back, everyone, to the Trans Day of Remembrance special. And we have another fabulous run for you all today. Here we have I keep seeing Amy Rose and thinking Sunday. It's Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. And it will be run by the fabulous Maple Snow Girl. So without any further ado, you can take it away, Maple.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Maple, or Maple Snow Girl, or Snow, or Maple. Doesn't really matter. This is Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble with a very lengthy category title: World Tour Super Speed No Spin Dash as Amy Rose. This game sort of adds a new mechanic to the Super Monkey Ball franchise, which is spin dashing. Pretty much hold down a specific button, you charge up your spin dash. When you release while you're moving on the ground, you'll get a huge burst of speed, and this can be used to jump over countless different stages throughout the game. We're not going to be using that at all. We're gonna play through the stages without sailing over some of them. I will be playing in the super speed mode, which is pretty much just movement speed is cranked way up. And that is because there are, I believe, 3 stages in the base World Tour 100 that in normal speed cannot be completed with Amy Rose without using a spin dash. But in super speed, all 100 can be completed without it. So, going to give a quick countdown, and then we are going to be off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So one thing that I commented on that you may have caught while talking about a little bit about super speed and normal speed, all that, is I said that some of the stages, 3 of the stages you couldn't do in normal speed without using a spin dash as Amy. That is because Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, unfortunately, has different character stats. So each of the characters actually play slightly differently. Ironically, Baby and the Among Us crewmate are the, in quotation marks, fastest 2 characters. However, all of the characters that aren't Mimi have at least very strong use cases in certain situations, and Amy Rose is kind of my favorite character of all time. So I've kind of been an Amy Rose one trick when I'm not ILing this game. World 1, pretty straightforward. I'm going to be just sort of rolling through rolling through some of the stages. Others, I will be just jumping over the vast majority of, because either the skip is just, it presents itself very, very obviously, sort of like 1-2, where I ran at the trim and just popped up over the hole. 1-9, so in 2 stages, the ground is going to be very bumpy, and the goal is kind of straight in front of where the start is, just slightly off to the right, so I'll be able to just generate some speed from rolling, pop up one of the bumps, and sail across the hole. Like this. This is actually the hardest stage in the first world, though, if you are speedrunning. Fortunately, that went probably the best that stage has ever gone while running this category. This stage, Rail Slider, really cool stage. I really like it. We're just not going to play it at all. There we go. That landing can actually be pretty tricky because the sort of slider is very angled. So if you're too far off center when you land, you'll have too much horizontal momentum off the bounce and get kind of destroyed. But now we are into World 2. This is I think it's called Rose Garden. To be honest, if it's not Candy Castle, I'm not paying too much, Candy Castle or Astrum, I'm not paying too much attention to the world name, but I think I do have all of them memorized. This stage actually, in this category, in just a couple stages from now, has one of the hardest stages, or rather one of the hardest strats. Playing the stage out is pretty easy. With 2-5, what's it called, Skyguard? This stage also has a pretty big skip there, just going to clip over a bunch of those hedge walls. I actually find doing the strat spin dashless easier than with spin dashes. It just feels more consistent. And dang. This strat is really actually very difficult to get the full skip without spin dashing. With the spin dash, it is incredibly easy, but without it, most of the time you're going to land on that sort of green curve and then clip the edge of the gold platform and hope that your momentum is not too far backwards, kind of like how it was on the first attempt. Got another just sort of rolling stage here with casual step. This is honestly one of my favorite stages to IL or do individual level speedruns. As actually I am more primarily an IL speedrunner in Banana Rumble than RTA, just because I actually really enjoy some of the ILs in this game. This game is super cool to IL. Now we've got hardest stage, or hardest strat. I don't know, actually, if I would say that this is the hardest strat that I go for in World 2, because the next stage has a very particular skip, because what the game wants you to do is it wants you to ride these gears around. We're gonna just skip that second gear because it's like the slowest one, and then I need to dodge the clock hands, and that is World 2 done. Now we are going to be moving on to World 3, the floating city. It is a city floating on the water. I wish that I was making this up, but that is actually a fun fact that the game will tell you on a loading screen. It also, I think that this is the first stage that have buttons on it, or switches, whatever you want to call them. I just realized I haven't actually ever really paid attention, but I'm almost certain that that's the first stage that has switches. There are some switches that pause movement of moving objects on a stage. There are some that speed them up. And then there are some that can return them to their base normal speed. That stage, with spin dashes, you can skip pretty much the whole thing, but without, kind of have to do a sort of makeshift skip it, like half skip, which is really scary because of sort of the angle that the stage goes at. Here I've got to weave around some of the bumpers. Bumpers are little knob-looking things that are on some stages. If you bump into them, then you will, you'll get bounced around by them. They're nowhere near as strong as they were back in Super Monkey Ball like 1 and 2 and Deluxe, but they are strong enough, especially when you're playing in super speed, that you don't necessarily want to hit them unless pretty much you're doing an IL strat that has a super cursed bumper bounce. I'm looking at you, Snake Whip updated. Anyway, now we have wormholes. They're pretty much teleporters. I can't believe I did not just smack face first into that bumper and go sailing 90 degrees sideways. That was very fortunate. Just barely was able to pop up and evade it. I don't actually remember what number stage that is. That is 3-7. Okay, that means that I've got Paddle Path, which is probably my least favorite in the first 3 worlds, and I'm going to try a little half skip here. That's really difficult. Fortunately, Amy's break stat is one of the best in the game, which means, well, she can come pretty damn close to stopping on a dime, which for that strat is very important. Here's Egg Pack. This is, on the contrary, one of my favorite stages in the entire game. I absolutely love every single strat on it. I love the loopy swoopy on the no spin dash. I love the bouncing with spin dash. It's just a great time. The next 2 stages are pretty lengthy, just rolling around the stage, so if there are any messages from the host, now is a fantastic time.
Because we do have a donation. We have $25 from Codebreaker, who says, "Let's go Maple!" And speaking of breakers, we do have the Breakers event coming up in December. Breakers mentioned?
Oh, that is a much scarier strat than it looks.
I could never do what you're doing, Maple. The monkey ball has always been a skill that eluded me.
I'll be honest, this is a like marble rollers with like the Super Monkey Ball games, as well as an indie marble roller that I used to speedrun a lot before it started making me motion sick. Rolled out. Those are games I thought that there's no way I was ever going to be able to speedrun. But just through lots of time and lots of practice, it's become one of my favorite types of games to speedrun. Okay, good, that stage was nice to me. Usually the game wants you to just roll around the stage. We don't want to do that because that's slow and you can just fall down onto the goal. That was embarrassing. During the practice run on Step Down, I kind of fell on top of the goal like 2 or 3 times and bounced off the goal into the hole. Good thing that didn't happen today. Oh, this is one of the coolest strats in the entire run. The game wants you to hit all 4 of these switches to lower these obstacles. However, we only need to actually press the blue and red ones to remove the walls so we can scoop in the half pipe up and over that wall straight to the goal. I absolutely love that strat. It is so much fun. Please get on the thing, thank you. These gold balls here are boulders. They have some very interesting gravity mechanics that hopefully will not come up on 5-9. Also, this world introduced speed pads. Pretty self-explanatory. They make you go faster. The blue speed pads are sort of like the default strength ones, and then the red speed pads are super, super strong. That's never happened to me without spin dashing on that stage. I have never clipped up to the top and over the goal. That's kind of cool. But this is actually the hardest stage, in my opinion, in the first half, at least in this category. Because of this part right here. There we go. Since this is super speed mode, as I mentioned earlier, you move dramatically faster in this mode compared to normal speed. That makes precision stages much more frightening. Also, let's see, this stage can sometimes be pain. Yep. Managing speed on this stage with super speed is pretty rough. There we go. All around, pretty solid World 4. That is actually, in the other, like, RTA categories, World 4 is actually, like, big-time reset point. I cannot believe that that bumper did not send me straight into oblivion, but we take those. Now we've got one of my favorite stages. I love falling strats so much. Managing speed while falling is one of my favorite things in marble rollers, because if you neutral, in most cases you will actually fall faster. My brain is too scrambled to properly explain the ins and outs of the physics of why that works that way. But yeah, the less movement input you make in the air, the faster you will fall. So I just have taken a great liking to falling strats. But now we've got a pretty neat stage. Going to try to just skip up and over and then run straight at the goal. There we go. Sometimes when you do the bounce across into the goal, you won't go into the goal and will instead... Well, you won't go properly into the goal and will bounce off of the platform on the other side. And you'll kind of bounce backwards, kind of like what happened there. But fortunately, super speed being super speed, I had enough sort of momentum to get back in there. That stage is another one of the 3 that is not actually doable for Amy Rose in normal speed without spin dashing. And it is just barely possible in super speed, as you saw there, at least for Amy. Baby and crewmate would probably decimate that stage much easier, but Amy's got a pretty precise setup. Also, this is Manhole. It's 20 seconds of pushing. I unironically really like that stage. Do not ask me why. I am not taking questions on the matter. Now we've got Balls on Seesaws. This stage sometimes is funny. There will be times where you're trying to get just barely around one of those boulders, and the boulder will just do some gravitational shenanigans and you'll go flying. It's not always a fun time. Also, this stage is actually one of the hardest in the run, and also maybe the hardest strat in this category in the opening half. But with that, the first 5 worlds are done, and things are going to only get harder from here. We've got Vanishing Floor to kick off the Neon Arena, which is World 6. The floor flickers on and off. It's not actually that hard a stage. The sort of like upgraded version called Arena that shows up in the extra worlds, and then Arena updated in the ultimate extras. Those 2 stages, however, are pretty difficult. At least if you're playing them out intended. Arena has a strat where you can just hold forward pretty much and beat the stage in 2 seconds. Now we have Elevator Maze. It's Elevator Maze. There's not really much to say about this stage other than it's Elevator Maze. World 6 is... Visually, I absolutely love it. Musically, I absolutely love it. Stage design, it's a bit of a weak point in my opinion. There are a bunch of auto-scrollers. This stage, I want to send every Pokemon that can learn the move Explosion here and just have them all use Explosion at once because I do not like Bouncy Ball. Now we have coming up actually a stage that I would consider to be one of the 5 hardest stages in the entire run. And also, like, even if you try to play the stage out casually, it is not an easy stage. Long Half Pipe is like genuinely a pretty difficult stage. I don't know what it is doing in World 6 because in my opinion it has absolutely no business being this early in the game. But now that we are past that and we have Aerial Floor, which is next one of the auto-scrollers, not too much is going to be happening over the next few stages. So this is another absolutely stellar point for any messages from the host.
Perfect, because I have something amazing to tell you all. We just got a $47 donation from, and correct me if I'm not pronouncing this right, but I believe it is Versal Perihelion.
Oh, Versal!
Who says, I keep my word and make up if I can't. Sally forth, Snow. With that $47 donation, we are now only $28 away from unlocking our Wolfenstein bonus run at the end of the day. And we are also only $113 away from upgrading the Masterpiece run to Boobs percent. So those are both going to be some very fun incentives. And like we said before, who doesn't want longer marathon? More marathon means more fun, right?
So true. So true. Longer marathon, everyone. Let's do it. Alright, we are finally almost out of the auto-scroller hell of World 6. 6-10 has a little bit of an auto-scroller segment to it, but it's not a true auto-scroller. This stage is actually a little bit dicey. No one saw that. That's not the part that's dicey. The part that's dicey is coming up right here with all these pyramids. There we go. Okay, now we should be good to go. Run across the spinning X, and now we are in the goal. Now we've got 2 more stages in World 6. We've got Rising Pillars, and we have chakrams right after. Going to run, jump across here. This part's a little bit scary, again, because of sort of like just the way super speed is. There we go. Very happy with getting through that stage on one try. With spin dashes, you can pretty much just charge a spin dash, run straight forward, and clip all the way up to the goal. Without spin dashes, it takes a little bit more doing, but it's not terrible. This stage, I feel like on like first time casual playthroughs, this to me feels like the big time wake up call stage. Chakrams is pretty difficult, especially when you're just starting out with the game. But now we have my personal favorite world in maybe the entire franchise, Candy Castle. I absolutely love it. Also, that is the one instance of a pause strat that I will be using in this entire run. Pause strats are not really a thing in Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble because of a specific quirk with how unpausing works. So one mechanic that I realized that I've not touched on at all, that I did just use on that stage as well as Rising Pillars as well as several others, is cam locking. There are 2 different ways that you can lock the camera in place, as this game, much like the game right before it in the franchise, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, both games have a manual camera that you can manipulate using the right stick. If you hold the right stick straight down, then it'll have the camera look straight down and lock it in place. Also, I don't know if it's the default button, but I currently have a cam lock set to my ZR button that will lock the camera in place looking straight forward. For some reason, when you are cam locking and you pause and then unpause, it jostles the camera around in a really strange way. But on the first stage of World 7, 2 layers, I can actually use that to my advantage by pausing at a specific point when I'm running at the trim, just from holding forward with the cam lock. I pause, unpause, it shifts the camera around slightly, I shift my movement input to upright, and I go straight into the goal. It's a super cool strat. I did a little bit of workshopping on that stage to see if I couldn't find anything, because that stage is actually pretty difficult without a nice little setup. I'm realizing now, talking about it and playing through this world in this run, this is a very camlock heavy world, and I'm very sad that I did not just, that I just messed up that goal dunk. Let's try that again. There we go. Nice. Alright, now we've got the hardest stage in World 7. Seesaw floor. It is scary, it is long. There's a cycle skip that is like 25 seconds into the stage. That's not too terribly difficult to mess up. Excuse me. So, let's try this. Let's get this boulder out of the way. Have this bridge come back up. Roll to the side, drop off, adjust in the air, and straight into the goal. You can, the ramp right before that seesaw platform that I was on that I fell into the goal, while the goal seesaw is down, you can actually just run up that ramp and side goal, but that is incredibly difficult, incredibly scary, and no way in hell would I ever try that in an RTA setting, at least currently. Now we've got Tilting Road. I'm gonna just skip the last 2 tilted roads because I don't need to actually play them. Super speed is a really cool thing and lets me just hit that trim, go way up. And now we are into one of the 2 hardest worlds in the run. I don't know if I would say 8 is harder or 10 is harder, but this world means business. So I'm not even going to try anything fancy on this stage, because you try something fancy and it's pretty much an RNG festival straight out of your worst nightmare. So I am not going to even... I'm not going to mess around with it today. Now, coming up, though, we have the 3rd and final stage of the ones that need super speed in order to be completed without spin dashing. Because it just so happens that if you tilt the seesaw up, run right to the edge, you can use that final seesaw as a steep enough ramp to get enough height to pop on up and over to the goal. Now we've got half pipe cross. This stage is really fun, kind of bizarre, and I already said really fun. I cannot believe I didn't overshoot. I thought that I had way too much rightward momentum. Fortunately, did not. So, this stage is pretty annoying. There's a strat with spin dashes that pretty much you just, if you time it right, you bounce off a couple of the arches all the way over to the goal. That strat's also kind of rough, but playing the stage out is very difficult, especially when you have much slightier, much faster movement. And now I'm going to focus a little bit because this is the scariest stage in the whole run and second hardest stage in the run. Okay, good. That stage made me nervous because my first practice run, getting ready for this marathon, I literally got stuck on that stage for 3 minutes. So very, very happy to first try it when it really, really counts. Now we have run at the hole and hope that the clip is right. So surfaces that are sort of like circular, the collision is much more difficult to get a favorable bounce, and I was not expecting a bounce that good. So let's try this again. Drop down. This stage, usually what it wants you to do is it wants you to go down those holes on that last big platform to find little islands underneath that have switches on them. And there are 3 switches. One switch will bring down one piece of the bridge to the goal platform, but with a favorable bounce off of the edge of that one hole, you can just sort of skip that entirely. Now we have another RNG festival stage. Yeah, trying to get a favorable clip off these platforms can sometimes be really, really difficult, so let's hope that we're not here too long. There we go.
For a donation while we're doing this?
Yeah.
We have some big news, everyone. Thanks to an extremely generous $30 donation from Star, thank you so much, Star, who says, "Purple is my favorite color, so you know I'm rooting for Yuzu. Thank you everyone who made this marathon possible, less than 3." And you know by mentioning that Star put their money towards the Yuzu side of the Kitsune Trails bid war that we have open that will be closing immediately after this run. And right now, Yuzu is far in the lead with about a $57 lead in that bid war. But the other big news is that we just met the donation goal of $500 total for the event, which unlocks our bonus Wolfenstein run. We are so excited to be seeing it, and that will happen at the end of the day today, so stick around if you want to see that now that our marathon has gotten extended. So thank you again so much, Star.
Really good 9-4. Shout outs to everyone who has made this marathon happen, whether behind the scenes, viewing, donating, running, hosting, the whole works. This marathon has been such an amazing experience and such an honor to be a part of. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to show off both this game and Lena's Inception last night. This has legitimately been some of the most fun I've ever had with marathon runs. Alright, that's the last really long stage out of the way. Now we have another one of my favorites because it's a falling strat, Mirage. I've got to do this a little bit differently than if I had spin dashes, because Amy does not have quite enough speed and momentum to get all the way to the goal, so I need an additional bounce. This stage, unfortunately, is a little bit boring because it's not really worth going for any spiral skips without spin dashes because it's so much harder and does not really save much time. So I'll take this opportunity to hydrate and remind everyone watching, stay hydrated, get your stretchies if you need. As there is still plenty more marathon to come, but make sure to be looking after yourselves. Right. 3 stages left in World 9. This stage I'm probably going to take a little bit carefully because this stage scares me a bit. Never mind, I'm going for the scarier strat, skipping a handful of the platforms and saving 2 or 3 seconds. Now I want to avoid the fast forward switch on the pink platform there because that is going to keep the pink platform right by the goal here at normal speed, which makes doing that significantly easier. Now we have Angel Ladder. Let's see if I can't get the loopiest, scoopiest of bounces to get as far to the end of the stage as possible. There we go, that was really good. Not an ideal bounce into the last scoop, but that's like half a second difference. It really doesn't matter that much. Now, final world, Astrum. We've got 10 stages left. This stage, or this world is so visually and musically beautiful. I absolutely love the vibes. The stages, some of my favorites in the entire game. This stage is a little bit tricky, so I'm going to actually focus a little bit here. Need to bounce, stabilize, go, in the goal. There we go. That's probably in this category, at least for me personally with my specific strengths and weaknesses in the game. That's probably the hardest stage that was left. No, 10-7's probably harder. That one is a big time precision stage because you need spin dashes to be able to skip the entire stage. We don't have those. This stage, however, sliding sticks, very fun. Love doing fast movement to skip cycles. Legitimately one of my favorite movement-based stages. Love it, love it, love it. Now we have Wind and Sun. It's a funny little stage. I went way too early. Whoops. There we go. Now I need to be a little bit careful while rolling around the sun because the sun is an emitter that shoots little mini meteor starbit-like things that do indeed have collision. You may have seen that right there while Amy was celebrating. One went through the goal and bonked her. Now Tornado Ring. This stage is really, really difficult if you're playing it intended or with a character that cannot get enough speed to go up and over, which Amy cannot get up and over in normal speed. Thankfully in super speed she can, because playing that stage intended is much harder than going up and over, but it is still very difficult regardless. And when the game was new and like everyone was a new player, that was like the stage. That was like the roadblock of the base World Tour 100. Now this stage is the hardest in the entire run. This is Broken Cylinder. I want to get through this stage on one try because that would make me look really cool. Ugh, dang it. Yeah, so as I have mentioned a handful of times, precision-based stages in super speed are dramatically harder when there's no real way to skip up and over. There we go. I will gladly take a second try because that stage is a monster. Now we have only 3 stages left, so just a little heads up, time will be coming up when I pass through the goal on Curvy Coaster, which is not this stage, not the next one, but the one after that. So be ready on that. I will be calling out for it specifically. That stage though, that was Wipeout. Gonna just run at the sweeper bars, bounce up and over. This is Gravity Field.
Do we have time for one final donation before the end of the run?
Probably a quick one, yeah.
We just met our incentive for upgrading to boobs percent by a really, really generous $83 donation from non-binary code who says meeting targets is fun, trans rights. So true, non-binary code. So true.
So true indeed, and time is going to be coming up very, very soon. The goal is just right on up here, and this is the final and 100th stage of World Tour. And I'm going to shoot right past the goal because I had too much speed. That is one thing that you have to be a little bit careful of, especially in super speed. With this stage is the speed pads, they're strong. They mean business, and as the mode implies, super speed, you have a super amount of speed. So let's try to go a little bit slower up here. I know this is a speed run and I have to go slower, that's weird. And time.
GG's.
Oh, that all around went, like pretty well. Out of curiosity, what was my time?
Let's see. Have to open this window. And your time was 33 minutes and 47 seconds. So we are vastly underestimate by about 12 minutes or so. Seemed like a very clean run to me. I was very impressed.
That was a 2 minute and 4 second PB.
Oh my gosh.
And that's with a 30-second death on the final stage. Okay. That felt really good.
Sometimes the marathon luck does not strike.
Wow. I am really happy with that. Gonna give some real quick shout outs. Shout outs to Trans Speedrun Collective for having me on to show off this game, to show off Lena's Inception yesterday. Two of the most fun marathon runs I have ever had. I don't think I could have enjoyed myself more. Shout outs to the Super Monkey Ball Banana Era speedrunning community. Just super cool group of people. Love rolling around alongside everyone. Shout outs to all of my friends over at FPE. Thank you so much for giving me so many opportunities with the org. It means so much to me. Shout outs to some really, really good friends of mine. Amity Moonlight, Virtual Cat, Flame Dragon, Callie Macken, so many others. That the list is just so long. Shameless plug, you can find me on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Blue Sky at Maple Snow Girl. I love to make content on indie games, Super Monkey Ball, Pokemon Shiny Hunting. I've been playing a lot of Sonic Rumble. I also love to speedrun 2D Sonic games. Those are so much fun. Yeah, again, thank you so very much to everyone at Trans Speedrun Collective who's, been working behind the scenes to put this event on, to everyone who's been involved with the marathon, whether you're a performer, host, viewer, donator, anything. Just, this event is so special to me, and I'm so happy that I was able to take part in it.